The latest demo of Tempest Rising, a promising upcoming RTS, was playable over the weekend, and the difference between the previous demo and this one was very obvious, at least to me, in terms of both gameplay and overall look. Here in the background is some of my own gameplay from the previous demo. In general, the game felt smoother and, dare I say, more like Command and Conquer in this test compared to the previous one. Definitely just felt more intuitive to play the game, and combat especially got more interesting. It seemed like units were a little bit more resilient, making fights last longer. Now, Mission 2 from both the GDF and Tempest Dynasty were available in this demo. The background footage is from the GDF mission specifically. While I don't think the developers are trying to copy the Command and Conquer Tiberium universe, the factions in Tempest Rising feel more like a loose homage at least. Some people on the Steam discussion pages actually sometimes refer to the Tempest Dynasty as Nod, so it's not just me. Now, we've only seen two factions, with a third faction being added in post-release, at least as far as the store page says. With the origins of the mysterious Tempest finds unknown, and these are basically equivalent to Command & Conquer's Tiberium, it is heavily implied that this third faction might have something to do with the Tempest. Of course, this almost feels too similar to the introduction of the Skrin alien faction in Command & Conquer 3. Slight spoiler here, by the way, so be warned. The alleged name of this faction might be Veti or VT, with official artwork shared by the lead game designer here showcasing the general color scheme and logo. The logo itself has like an Illuminati style eye and wings, maybe some sort of subterranean semi-human race that woke up during the game's World War III events. I'm clearly spitballing here, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. Whether Tempest Rising will go as far as adding full-blown aliens, or if there is like a third human-style faction that's been waiting in the shadows of the conflict until the opportune moment to strike, is of course the big question. Aliens, bugs, robots, clones, and any sort of combination, there are a ton of different options for this third faction. However, the developers themselves have said this, leaving a giant mystery regarding both the third faction and what these Tempest Vines actually really are. Though this faction will not get their own campaign, unlike the GDF and Dynasty, it will be playable sometime after release in skirmish missions and other modes, including PvP. However, it is heavily implied it'll make an appearance in either or the GDF and Dynasty campaigns. With that said, have you played the demo yet? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it better than the previous one? What do you think the third faction is going to be? Let me know down in the comments. In my first video covering Tempest Rising's announcement and store page release, a screenshot showed the Doctrine and Armory buttons in the pre-mission screen. In this demo, we finally got confirmation on what they do, but it seems I actually wasn't far off with my initial guess. The Doctrine tab lets you select certain bonuses, say higher speed and container size for harvesters, stealth technology for drones, faster construction times, and so on. Now, these are different for the GDF and Tempest Dynasty and mesh with their specific units. Then, under Armory, you actually get to select bonuses, units, or upgrades you want to take into that battle. Each Armory option costs a certain amount of slots, but also costs cash. In this demo, you have 2 slots available, so you can either take one item that takes up 2 slots, or, well, 2 items that both take up 1 slot. This would allow for a little variation when replaying missions, both in terms of what doctrines you unlock and which armory options you bring in each mission. With, however, 11 missions in each campaign, I'm a little worried about the length of the single player content, and though again, these doctrine and army choices will change your approach to missions to some extent, I don't think it adds a huge amount of replayability. Something that is interesting to notice here, some of the opposing factions units can be brought out as stolen blueprints, allowing you to build some enemy units, though at a higher cost compared to your own. I'm not sure what units warrant being brought out onto the battlefield, but maybe some of the higher tech later game units are prime candidates for this specific feature, or maybe you just really love one of the opposing factions units that much. I didn't feel like playing the missions in the previous demo more than once, but I genuinely was disappointed when I finished the missions in this one, and I'm definitely craving some more. I actually ended up playing both missions at least 2 times. Sadly, a release date has still not been given. It's very likely that it might be holiday season this year, but honestly, they have not said anything, so we really just don't know. Now, the MMO style conversation options in the pre-mission cutscenes are honestly very cool, allowing you to learn a little bit more more about the Tempest Rising lore if you want to do that. The cutscenes themselves have been cleaned up a little bit as well, though I do miss the live action cutscenes we've gotten used to in Command & Conquer. Units like the GDF's Riot Van have special abilities that are explained via small tooltips on the side. Red Alert 3 had a great way of showcasing a unit's unique or special abilities with tiny 10-ish second videos you could watch in-game with an example situation showing the ability or abilities in action. I initially didn't realize it, but some of the tooltips in Tempest Rising actually work sort of similar, with a clip showcasing the ability in action, though I will be completely honest that I initially didn't realize it was a video with a clickable play button. The gameplay you see was recorded on normal difficulty, with easy, hard, and insane being the other options. I wish it would actually tell you what changing the difficulty meant in a tangible way, but defending the initial base on insane difficulty was definitely more of a challenge than I had thought. It felt like enemy units had more health and higher damage output as well, but this could have just been placebo. There's no indication what higher or lower difficulties really change. The GDF support beacon seemed a little cheeky. This ability drops a temporary base building area anywhere on the map you have line of sight, allowing you to, say, set up defensive turrets or regular structures basically within a few seconds. Now, if you were to have multiple construction yards, allowing for multiple buildings to be constructed simultaneously, I could see dropping one of these on a choke point and quickly spamming out 2 or 3 defensive structures to gain a quick foothold. Then, after the beacon disappears, you can still continue building in small areas around the already placed down buildings. Besides letting you build in an area around it, the support beacon also buffs friendly units' move and attack speeds, as well as it marks enemies, which, if killed, give you intel, which is a secondary currency for the GDF alongside regular cash. Intel is used to, for example, activate the suppression system ability on the Riot Van. How abilities like this will work in PvP, if at all, and if other abilities that the GDF and Tempest Dynasty, as well as a third faction, will have, and to what degree these are even counterable, if at all, is of course mostly unknown, but this one in particular already feels pretty strong, especially against the AI. Some cheeky use of the support beacon going as far as reinforcing the stolen enemy harvester area, as well as building a far forward repair station, are just some of the basic things I did in this mission using the ability. Both maps in the demo kind of remind me of Tiberium Wars 3, however the general wastelandish atmosphere kind of contrasts with the colorful units and structures, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. The units of both factions are mostly easy to distinguish from one another, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions so far, and I didn't feel that one faction had some clear advantage over the other, having played both missions multiple times. I, however, can't wait to play around with some of the air units. Hopefully one or both factions have access to transport helicopters or aircraft, allowing for some airborne action. Something I accidentally discovered, and I definitely don't remember seeing a tip or a hint about it: if you put an engineer inside of a riot van, it'll repair it from the inside. Engineers in Tempest Rising actually seem quite useful, from laying or removing mines, constructing bunkers in case of the GDF, as well as repairing vehicles and of course capturing enemy structures. Engineers actually have a dedicated role. With the game having 22 missions divided into 4 campaigns and 4 missions having already been shown off, I can't imagine any future demos will either be put forward, or if they are, I kinda doubt they'll show any further missions. At this point, there are only 18 unplayed missions left. So far, the store page mentions skirmish and multiplayer ranked, as well as custom game modes. Hopefully a Steam Workshop will be available, allowing community content to be shared and created, though I guess this really depends on if any tools to make maps and missions will actually be made available to the public. Now, I hope you enjoyed this look at Tempest Rising's latest demo. More of a general thoughts, ideas, and opinions video compared to just, raw live commentary over the gameplay. Did you like the latest demo of Tempest Rising, and are you going to check it out when it releases? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.